Remember last year when Rebel News held a 2-day conference in Toronto? Hundreds of people came, including many who drove for hours just to be there. We teamed up with Rumble, the free speech competitor to YouTube, who brought some of their biggest content creators, including Viva Fry, the Canadian live streamer, Glenn Greenwald, the free speech advocate, and Donald Trump Jr. It was actually a great event, but it almost didn't happen because the Liberal government tried to cancel it. They tried to deplatform it. You see, the conference venue was located at Downsview Park. That's a former Canadian military base in the Toronto area. So the underlying real estate is still the property of the federal government, and the Liberals, including the local member of parliament, Yara Sachs, tried to use that fact to pressure the conference venue into ripping up their contract with us. That's obviously illegal. That's a kind of extortion. We had a signed contract with the venue operator, and we paid the rent in advance, but at the last minute, the government threatened that venue operator and demanded that we spend tens of thousands of dollars on unnecessary security fees, or they would shut us down. They assumed we couldn't pay that much, and they were right. They induced a breach of contract, but they didn't count on Rumble paying the ransom and calling their bluff. So the last minute, the conference went ahead, and all Yara Sachs could do was rage against it on Twitter. Well, that was last spring, and we've spent months meticulously researching what the Liberals did behind the scenes, including by filing access to information requests and interviewing key people. So here's my news. Earlier today, we filed a whopping $287,000 lawsuit against the federal government, including against Yara Sachs herself, for illegally interfering with our civil rights. You can find the lawsuit in full at stopdeplatforming.com. I really encourage you to read it. It's 21 pages long, but it's in plain English, and it tells an outrageous story. In addition to Yara Sachs, we found 6 different government officials who tried illegally to interfere with our conference, like Robert Ng, who said, quote, "We might attract an undesirable crowd." Who are you to say that? Or Andrea Thompson, who said, quote, "I suppose we can't stop these undesirable events." Really? And Roxanne Krauss, who said, quote, "I love a new challenge," talking about stopping us. Thompson wrote, quote, "I'm wondering if you think there's any language within the lease agreement that would permit us to stop this event from happening." She knew our conference was legal. She knew what she was trying to do was illegal. She didn't care. She was going to find a way to stop us. As you can see, we've got their emails plotting to violate our civil rights. Imagine how brazen you have to be to put it in writing. I wonder how often they've done this to other people on their enemies list too. You really ought to read the lawsuit for yourself at stopdeplatforming.com. That's what they tried to do to us, deplatform us. And if you can, while you're at that website, chip in a few dollars to help us crowdfund our lawsuit. I'm excited to say that Rumble is joining us in this lawsuit because they were illegally extorted too. They've agreed to cover half the lawsuit, but we have to cover the other half. If you can help, please go to stopdeplatforming.com. And I promise I'll post the government's defense at that same website too when they find it. I'd like to see how they try and justify what they did. I mean, one of the things they told us last year was that the Toronto police were warning them that there was going to be protests against us, so we needed to pay for that extra security. But in fact, we have written proof that the police told them there was no evidence of a counter-protest to our event at all. None. They lied. Yeah, I know. Big shock, right? I'd really like you to read our lawsuit to see what the Liberals and the government try to do to us and to imagine what they'll do if they win again. They'll go even harder after their political opponents. Remember, they weren't just coming for me and Rebel News. They were targeting a private sector event venue operator too, simply because he let conservatives use his facility. They terrified him. They terrorized him. That's what they do to anyone who gets in their way. Read the lawsuit at stopdeplatforming.com. Paragraph 57 of the lawsuit is where we outline how they violated our charter rights, including freedom of expression. Paragraph 61 talks about misfeasance in public office. That's where you misuse the powers of the government for your own improper purposes. There's a breach of fiduciary duty and negligence and conspiracy. You can actually see the conspiracy at work. Inducing breach of contract, obviously, and intentional interference with economic relations. Now, no normal person could afford to fight back. I mean, the event venue operator is just glad to be out of the hostage situation that he was in because the Liberals didn't like us. You can be sure he'll never let us rent from him again. He didn't sign up to be bullied by the government, but we're built a little bit differently, and so is Rumble. They joined the lawsuit because they're about freedom of speech, and they're appalled that the Canadian government acted a bit more like the North Korean government. They're covering half the bill, but we're on the hook for the other half. Now, the smart thing would be to walk away and lick our wounds. I mean, after all, the conference did proceed, and it was a great success, thanks to Rumble paying the ransom, but we can't let these malicious bullies get away with this. Not against us, not against Rumble, not against the venue operator they blackmailed, and not against the countless other people the government surely bullies and cancels and deplatforms all the time now. This is about setting a precedent. This lawsuit is setting a precedent and sending a message that you cannot use the neutral, nonpartisan government to attack your personal political enemies. You're not allowed to do that. If you agree with our decision to fight back, go to stopdeplatforming.com, read the lawsuit, and if you agree with it, help us to cover our half of the legal fees. I know the government is going to hire the most expensive law firm in Canada to fight back. That's what they always do. But when you see the outrageous things these bullies actually put in writing, you'll know we have a real chance to win and to set a precedent for freedom for every Canadian. Go to stopdeplatforming.com. Thanks. We're fighting back against the Liberal government's attempts to silence us and deplatform us. Go to stopdeplatforming.com to learn more and to help.